Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered for Tuesday, January 8, 2019, Donald Trump's lies about the so-called crisis on the border gets a primetime airing on broadcast network and cable television tonight. For what? But okay, fine. Whatever. Democrats will also be responding, but all the networks will not be carrying the response of Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senator Chuck Schumer. We'll talk with an expert from Howard University to tell us exactly what is really happening on the border. A second black man found dead at the home of a major Democratic donor in California. Jazmine Barnes has been following this story since the first death 18 months ago, and she will join us live. Also, the CIAA men's and women's basketball tournaments will move to Baltimore in 2021. We'll talk to the woman who, of course, had a huge role in making that happen, the mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh. Angela Davis delivers a scathing rebuttal to the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, canceling her award. We've got the whole statement, and we'll read it for you. Today also was a funeral for Jazmine Barnes, a 70-year-old girl killed in a drive-by shooting in Houston. We will show you the video, some of the video from the funeral. And also, TMZ reports R. Kelly is now being investigated by the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney's Office as a result of the Lifetime documentary that aired over the weekend. And also, folks, we start a series today featuring groundbreaking professors at HBCUs. Today, we'll talk to a professor researching how we get old and how we can stay young. And also my interview with the author of The Cooking Gene, Michael Twitty. We had a great conversation. We'll show you an excerpt of that on the show, and then we'll stream the entire interview when we are done. All right, folks, it's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time, and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, y'all. Donald Trump is speaking to the nation tonight in a primetime address, or should we say lying to the nation tonight. Hey, where's my Trump Lives Matter stinger? Really? Are y'all falling asleep? Okay, find it, please. Seriously.
Every single day.
I know that. Okay, Jacob, my producer, goes every single day. Well, play the damn thing every single day. Okay, that's why we created the thing, to play it every day. All right, all the broadcast networks and all the cable networks caved into Trump's request to speak on his border wall. Now, remember, when President Barack Obama wanted to address the nation on immigration in 2014, the broadcast networks refused his request, maybe because he wouldn't tweet about them and dog them, but they went ahead and went along with Trump. Now, he is trying to salvage his campaign promise to build a wall, which Mexico is not paying for, even though he said Mexico was going to pay for it. He's also declaring there's a humanitarian crisis on the border, which we haven't been able to find. Now, to the extent there is a crisis on the border, Trump calls it himself with his zero-tolerance policy. Here to talk about the true situation on the border is Dr. Nyambi Carter from Howard University, who's currently working on a book about black opinion on immigration in the United States, in addition to studying President Trump's immigration rhetoric and its influence on voters. All right, Doc, let's get right to it. So earlier today, the White House signaled that he may declare this national emergency, which would give him the power to, I don't know what the hell, create this wall. But now they're backing off of that. So what do you make of all of a sudden there's this national security emergency due to the border, the southern border?
Well, it's not an emergency. Really, the president has created the emergency, as you rightly pointed out. The truth is, most of the people at the border are seeking asylum. There are many children at the border who are no threat to the United States. And in fact, there are 2 children who died in U.S. custody from our poor behavior and our inability to actually house children in a safe manner. And we still have the children who've been separated from their parents earlier this year who are still awaiting reunification with their parents. So the crisis at the border is much overblown. And I think that's why he's backed off of declaring it a national security emergency.
And so let's just be honest. This is Trump's attempt to gin up his base because conservative media attacked him when the Senate passed the budget that 100-0 to reopen the government, and he leaned on the House not to pass that in order to get money for the wall, which Mexico was supposed to pay for, but Mexico is not paying for. He wants American taxpayers to pay for, even though he lied and told us Mexico was going to pay for it.
Right. Well, I mean, it was always a bogus promise, right? That was something he couldn't ever deliver. And I think the fact that most Americans don't understand basic civics, you can't compel a sovereign nation to pay for something in your country. Moreover, he can't compel Congress to give him the funding. That's why we're in a government shutdown right now. This was always about making the most base parts of his voter base excited because it's a white supremacist tactic at best.
We also now know because we now have administration officials. You have Roger, who's that thug? Roger, what's his name? Roger, y'all know.
Yeah.
The Trump's thug. Roger Stone. Okay, like I give a damn who he is. Well, he's a thug. And he came out and said that they came up with this whole wall deal because Trump couldn't remember a damn thing. And so it's like, look, anytime you forget something, just say the wall, and the crowd's going to go crazy. So we know that that's really what this whole thing is about. It's not actually about an issue with immigration. I mean, this is about pressing the buttons to get his, frankly, white base fired up on the issue of it's them people who are calling us all these problems.
Absolutely. And we have a wall. We have barbed wire. We have fence. The fact of the matter is it's a 2,000-mile border that we have with Mexico. The border with Canada is bigger than that. So it's really hard to secure that space. But you're exactly right, Roland. I mean, numbers of people coming into the United States have been declining for years, especially given the fact that we are in a recession economically. So this idea that everybody is clamoring to come to the United States is a falsehood. But it's more important to him that we push this narrative, that he pushed this narrative, right? That these brown people are coming to the United States and they're coming to take your jobs and they're coming to hurt you. I mean, he tried it with black people. Black people weren't persuaded by it, but that didn't stop him from saying it. And he's been saying it. And for white supremacists, this is basically kitty litter to them. Right? This is the kind of stuff that they want to hear. Keep America white and keep all those brown people out, and everything will work out fine.
So he's supposed to speak for 7 to 8 minutes. I don't believe that for a second. I think he's probably going to forget what he's doing and go off on the tangent. It might be 15, 20 minutes. And then he's supposed to go down to the southern border on Thursday. Again, to me, it's more histrionics. This is somebody who is, frankly, this is all he has left. And I think even Republicans are getting tired of the drama because now we're seeing TSA people say, look, I'm going to quit because I gotta feed my family. Other individuals who are saying, I can't pay bills. And then for him to say, oh, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You've been rich your whole life. And so even so, I think you have members of his base who are realizing their lives are about to be impacted as a result of him not trying to keep the government open.
Well, even his claims about this is mostly affecting Democrats. I mean, there's no way to have a government shutdown that only hurts Democrats and that people are for this. When people's payments start getting cut off, when people can't do the basic things that they need to do, like fly, ride a bus, I mean, all of those kinds of things that rely on federal support. And let's not forget the physical infrastructure of this nation that relies on federal support. FDA, which is partially shut down, all of these important agencies that are being affected. I mean, the IRS, right? All of this is tax season. This is blow up season for most people, right? And now we have a moment where we have a president who is saying all of these critical functions can't happen because I want to build this wall to my own vanity and my own vision of white supremacy on this here earth. This isn't about a policy because this is an immigration policy. He doesn't care about immigration policy. He just wants to build this monument to himself. And that's all this is about.
All right, then. Well, Doc, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you very much, folks. Dr. Deon B. Carter, Howard University. All right, let's go to our panel here in the studio. My far left, Dr. Julianne Malveaux, President Emerita and also economist, Bennett College. We have, of course, joining us new as well. First, we got Malik, who's here. Did y'all actually forget to put Malik in here? Malik Abdul, Republican Communications Consultant, who joins us back with the bow tie. And Aris Foley, social media curator for The Hill. How y'all doing?
Good.
All right, so Malik, I'll start with you. There is no damn national emergency. There is none. I mean, this is absolutely positively made up. And even fellow Republicans are like, dude, seriously, it's not an emergency.
Yeah, I don't think it's it's not a national emergency. It is definitely an issue, and it's an issue that the United States have been dealing with for a while now. The Democrats, I understand that Nancy Pelosi now thinks. Well, I'm sorry, the country has been dealing with for a while, not Democrats. I understand that now, Nancy Pelosi thinks it's something that's immoral, despite the fact that the party supported it in 2006. So what we're talking about, and it's the same thing that I said the last time we were on the show, this is an issue of semantics at this point. We know that there will not be a wall to stretch the entire border of the United States. So what we're talking about now is similar to what we talked about in 2006.
So why does he keep lying then? Because first of all,
he lies.
Because he throws out stuff like eminent domain. He throws out, we could just take the land. It's real easy to do so. When first of all, he clearly has not been there because it's not as simple. I mean, somebody who's a native Texan. I mean, if you actually see the video of the border, it ain't that simple. In fact, Aris and Julian, I'm gonna play a video in a second. There was a video that Beto O'Rourke put together.
Oh, God.
And when y'all see, what you mean? What it's called? It's called using a drone to show you what the border looks like, where it's not as simple to just go, yeah, we're gonna throw a wall up. Julian, go.
Here's the deal. You cannot make chicken salad out of chicken spit. So that's what I'm saying. I'm cleaning it up because I'm on Roland show. But here's the deal. You cannot. You're going through people's property. Mm-hmm. You're looking at rivers and all this stuff. No, there's not going to be a wall. This man did not ever want to be a wall. What he is a wall. He's a wall in his brain that is just insane. And so for any of us to indulge in this conversation is to essentially kowtow to stupidity.
All right, so here's the deal. So here's the video that Beto O'Rourke put out that folks have been talking about. Because, again, I want y'all to actually see. Because when you hear all this stuff about, they'll show you, like, a piece of land where it's a desert. It's like, okay, so here's the wall. Okay, this is what most of the southern border looks like. So check this out. All right, so y'all go ahead. Aris, you can't put a wall right there. It's a river, okay? It's a river, and it's Mexico on one side and the U.S. on the other. You can't just say, I'm going to throw a wall up right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what you said before, too, a big part of it is just pandering to his base. Even the primetime address tonight, it's probably very unlikely that Democrats, especially a Democratic-controlled House, will actually meet his demand for $5 billion for a border wall. But, I mean, cable news outlets are going to pick it up anyway because Trump is able to bring in ratings.
That's what it is. It's
and there's a
eyeball.
reason why Obama, also, I mean, we're entering the 18th day of the shutdown. I think the longest ever shutdown on record was 21 days in 1996. So, I mean, like,
the other piece of this that's important is that while he's looking at the southern wall, from the north, we see people coming from Canada. We see white people coming. We see Paul Ryan.
Oh, yeah, no. They don't mind white people. They don't mind white folks.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Ryan going out tried to
get
thousands of visas for folks from Ireland.
People.
Well, anyone who's not from a shithole country.
Right, precisely.
But that's the other piece of it is how you talk about you're so afraid about people coming in when the fear ought to be that people come from airlines, they come from Canada, they come from all these places. These people are not threats to us. These people are, in fact, we stole all this.
Hold on, I'm gonna do this here. So I'm gonna play another video of O'Rourke, and again, because I want y'all, I need y'all to understand. I want y'all to actually see what the border looks like. So here we go to my iPad.
Roland, you and your iPad.
So again, what are we putting up?
Well, so we already have a wall. We know that a wall is there.
Actually, there's several walls.
Right.
Yeah,
and
there's like sections.
whatever variation you call it, and I think that, I agree with what we're really talking about, whether you call it a wall, whether you call it slats, whether you call it a fence, barbed wire, whatever it is, it's something that's it's a barrier. So that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about a barrier. The wall has become a symbol of whatever.
So the wall has become rhetorical.
The wall that we already have.
Rhetorical bullshit. Excuse my language. Rhetorical bullshit.
Flourish.
Because this man has used the notion of a wall that Mexico was supposed to pay for.
That we never believed.
Which we never believed.
No. We didn't believe it.
But
Them fools believed it. Who voted for him? Oh, yes, they did.
Well, some did.
But here's the point.
No. The folks who can't read in West Virginia and some of them other states believed it.
At the end of the day, here's the problem. It's rhetorical bullshit that this man has used to essentially clown our nation.
But it's something that we already have, though. We already have a wall.
We have barriers. We have border security. We have border.
Hold on. Which wall? Concrete, steel, or cement?
It depends. It's like the very variation.
Or whatever that means.
Always had border security.
We've always had some sort of barrier.
We have had
Okay, how about this here?
Shore up the
It's three of y'all here. Who thinks he gonna lie tonight? Who believes?
He'll lie every night.
Who believes?
Every
Who
time he
believes?
opens his mouth, he lies.
Raise your hand if you believe the speech that he's gonna give tonight is going to be completely truthful.
All right. Hey.
Completely truthful. Raise your hand.
Hey now.
Nobody. That's all I'm saying.
So
ain't nobody like, I ain't raising my damn hand.
I don't know.
Because his ass don't lie.
No.
Okay.
There could be.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out why we sleep in the control room. I done gave you the cue, Trump lying. Can you play the stinger? I mean, I'm like.
Roland Barnes.
You set it up for him.
Roland Barnes.
Right. I mean, I done teed it up. They sit there like, should we play it?
Can we play your music again?
Somebody control refining. Vote the hell up. Okay, it's all right, folks. Let's go to our second story. For the second time in 18 months, a black man was found dead at the West Hollywood, California home of a wealthy Democratic donor, Ed Buck. Now, 26-year-old Jamel Moore was found dead at Buck's apartment from an apparent overdose in July of 2017. Well, yesterday, a black man in his 50s was found dead in the same apartment. Now, all of a sudden, the LA DA's office, they are supposedly investigating. And activist Jazmine Barnes was trying to warn folks last time it happened, and the investigation pretty much was a joke. She joins us right now. And so, Jazmine, glad to have you back. I hate to have you back on this story because, again, we talked about it on the show discussing this issue and what happened with Jamel Moore. And you had many folks in the white gay community, in Democratic donor circles, who would said nothing, did nothing. You were just yelling from the top of the mountains, look, this man is a predator. Now a second black man is dead.
And you know what? They're still saying nothing. So as far as the people who have taken his money and the Democratic leadership of the state of California, they're still saying nothing. We told them back then, Roland, that when, it was a matter of when, right? Because we knew that he hadn't stopped and he was still doing all the things he was doing before, that when someone else died in his apartment, that person's blood was going to be on the hands of District Attorney Jackie Lacey and the Sheriff's Department. And, it's such a tragedy. And, he was not detained or arrested. So last night when folks showed up in front of his house in West Hollywood, his apartment, he was at home.
Wow.
So he very well could have a third, fourth, and fifth at this point because the man has not been detained or arrested or prosecuted for anything.
So he literally, somebody else died and, he's back in the place? First of all, did they properly remove stuff this time?
I have no idea. I've seen one photo. It's just such a sad photo of this person's body being taken down the stairs from the apartment. And it just so much reminded me of Jamel Moore, who, by the way, it would have been 28 years old next Monday. And that investigation was never completed, so it's like, I'm at the point where, I just want to scream so loud. We have got to do something. Everybody is responsible here. How many more black people have to die in this man's house? He has a very highly paid, articulate attorney out here advocating for him. Let's see, the story this time is Ed Buck was in the bathroom and his longtime friend of over 25 years, he didn't know what his friend was doing. He didn't know that his friend had overdosed. Which was very similar to the Jamel Moore story. I think with the Jamel Moore story, he said that Jamel was in the bathroom and he had no idea what Jamel was doing in the bathroom. So, people ask me, well, what is it? Well, what is it, Jazmine? I don't know. Is it white privilege? Is it he gave enough money to the right people for them to look the other way? I'm, sitting here trying to infiltrate the California Democratic Party, or run for office because I'm tired of belonging to this party because of things like this. You have something like this happen. He's clearly one of your top donors. He gives money to almost all of them.
Right.
And they have nothing to say. We swore in a governor on Monday who took money from him.
Well, we, first of all, have been covering, the Jamel Moore case. We'll be covering this one as well. We'll see what's next. We know you are on top of this. Keep us abreast of what's going on, and we definitely will keep pushing this on social media and also on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And also, I'm finally glad to see also this time mainstream media kind of pick up on this story. They pretty much ignored Jamel Moore. I guess now with a second black dude dead, it's like, I guess maybe we want to cover it this time. So we'll see what happens with that. But Jazmine, thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Let's talk about Baltimore. And typically we talk about Baltimore. Folks want to talk about things that are bad, somebody who got shot, or even the murder rate there. But different story this time deals with HBCU basketball. For a number of years, the CIAA tournament took place in Charlotte, but now, after 2020, it will be in Baltimore. The Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association announced today that it is moving its men's and women's basketball tournaments to Baltimore for 3 years, starting in 2021. Now, of course, it is estimated that Charlotte gets about $50 million to its local economy as a result of the CIAA tournament. A number of entertainers and others have events that take place around the CIAA. Now it will be in Baltimore. So joining us right now is a former cheerleader at Morgan State University, HBCU there in Baltimore, the mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh. Mayor Pugh, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm great with all the great things that are happening in Baltimore, Roland Martin.
All right. So what happened here? Charlotte, of course, I was reading one. It was a Charlotte elected official who was angry, saying they didn't do enough, but looks like Baltimore did a hell of a whole lot to get the CIAA to come to your city. What happened?
We had a great team. I want to thank first our director of Visit Baltimore, who did an excellent job of putting together an excellent team and an excellent proposal. We also took Earl the Pearl Monroe down there to help seal the deal. My president of City Council was a part of the team as well. But when we first learned about this opportunity, we jumped right on it. We put together a first-class team of individuals to focus on what we needed to do to attract them to Baltimore. So I think we did what we were supposed to do, and we realized too that this will have a $50 million impact on the city, as well as driving over 140,000 fans to the tournament. So the CIAA is a great tournament, and it has a lot of great parts to it. You talk about the educational opportunities, the leadership programs. As you pointed out, the concerts that will take place, the step shows. Baltimore is so ready. We rolled out the red carpet to get them here, and we're looking forward to 2021.
And what's interesting is that, again, Henry, go to my iPad. I'm on the Charlotte Observer website, and that this tournament was Charlotte's most lucrative annual event, according to the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. And that says a heck of a whole lot in terms of how this is important. Also, I read one story that Baltimore also made sure that at least $2 million annually would go towards scholarships for students. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, but this is about our business community and our philanthropic community coming together to work with this particular tournament. And, you know, a lot of things happen around tournaments. And so we've already laid it out with the hotels and so forth, and so that we don't have folks piggybacking and trying to make extra money. We want to make sure that the money goes towards the city as well as towards the CIAA tournament for the scholarships and so forth that they want to make available to our students at the CIAA schools.
Where will the tournaments be played at?
Oh, well, you know, we have a convention center, we have an arena. It will be right here in Baltimore at our arena.
One of the issues that we saw, we reported on, is that a lot of folks who went to the CIAA tournament felt that hotels in Charlotte were price gouging, restaurants were price gouging as well.
Happen in Baltimore.
Not happen
in Baltimore.
Huh?
Will not happen in Baltimore. We've guaranteed them rates that will be, we think, fair to all those who will be coming. So those rates will be stabilized over the next 3 years, and so we look forward to low rates, great people, and everybody flooding to the city of Baltimore.
And obviously, by having several HBCUs in Baltimore, then of course you add in Howard University plus the other HBCUs in Virginia.
And Bowie, right here in Maryland, is also a part of the CIAA.
Right, absolutely. So you have a drawing power there as well that could come to Baltimore for this tournament.
Yep, so we're very, very comfortable that we're going to attract a whole lot of folks here. You know, you've got Pennsylvania schools, you got DC schools, you got Virginia schools, you got North Carolina schools, and so you got schools all across the country. Today, we were visited by the Richmond, Virginia schools, and so, I mean, we're excited. This is going to be a great time in Baltimore, and certainly a great time for the CIAA.
Now, while I have you here, I got to ask you this. I was on social media, and you decided to go to the Crescent City, New Orleans, to find your next police superintendent. And so I saw that story as well. So tell me about Michael Harrison.
Well, Michael Harrison is a great choice for Baltimore, and we're looking forward to him coming and visiting and becoming a part of the fiber of our city. As you well know, he's one of the top police commissioners in the country. He's reduced crime in his city. It's the lowest in 47 years. They are going through a consent decree, so he's very familiar with the work that needs to be done here. He's brought about the cultural change that needs to take place in his police department, and we know that he will come here looking to create that same type of synergy in our department, as well as expanding community engagement, which is something that we've already embarked on, and also using some of the latest technologies to help us fight crime in Baltimore. And by the way, crime is down in Baltimore, trending downward in every single category. Last year, we ended up with 296 murders, which was down over 10% in Baltimore City. We had to pick up 13 from other years because that's the way that they calculate crime, which brought it up to 309. But we're down from 343 last year. And so we're looking forward to continuing to trend downward, down in every single category, robberies, burglaries, and so forth. But Michael Harrison, we think, will be right for Baltimore.
And obviously, with him serving 10 years in internal affairs in New Orleans is important when it comes to investigating police officers to restore trust there in the city between its citizens and its police department.
Yep, he did that in New Orleans, and we know he'll do it here in Baltimore.
All right. Mayor Catherine Pugh, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Roland.
All right. Let's go to our panel. You clapping over here, Julianne?
I am.
Why is that?
A couple things. First of all, I am a total girl fan of Mayor Pugh. Secondly, CIAA, you know, when I was in Bennett, at Bennett, and it was in Charlotte, it just brought all kind of money. And that's the kind of money that Baltimore needs. She is just such a rock star.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to gush much.
You don't mean to, but you do.
But I do.
But you are.
Hey.
Yeah,
But I'm just excited for Baltimore. I think that, you know, with Morgan and Bowie and the whole DMV stuff, it's bringing it.
Well, I
in a
think
different
that,
way.
and that's why I made the point about, like I say, I was a black state official in Charlotte right now who is not happy.
I imagine.
But you know what?
When I say he's not happy, he's not happy. He believes that the Convention Bureau did not do a good enough job, did not put enough money up. I think that Charlotte they tried to go up to 1.7 million for the scholarships. Baltimore topped him by 300,000. But the other deal is this also shows the power of black dollars.
Yeah, definitely.
And you cannot make chicken salad out of chicken spit.
Go ahead.
Well, no, to carry off with all these points, no, it's just really good to see such a positive news story come out because Baltimore is one of those cities where it's majority black, and it's also been, a lot of Baltimore neighborhoods have been threatened by gentrification, just like a lot of major black towns.
Yeah, DC.
And this is like one of those great stories to see because it's probably going to bring in a lot more jobs for black people. That's one. But it's also like you see a lot of these towns where it's like, you know, in some ways economically depressed, and they kind of makes it right for gentrification.
So
it's kind of great to see like the reversal. It's like a really good example for other towns.
And this
going forward,
woman is
I think.
just amazing. She has been amazing.
But the thing, though, Malik, that's important to me is that, again, respect of black dollars.
Yeah.
You look at Essence Music, you look at Essence Festival, the largest annual event economically for the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
Okay, bigger than the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you talk about this event. Now, so to have cities competing for these events, so what they're saying is, oh, wait a minute, black folks are showing up, they're spending money. Oh, we're going to recruit, try to go after, and so Baltimore actually beat out Norfolk, Virginia, who also they were trying to get that. And I'm gonna do this here. So I'm on the Charlotte website. So let me see if I can stop this here. To pick it up. So actually, I want you to speak to that, and I'm going to play a video on the Charlotte Observer's website of the CIAA commissioner talking about this move. Go ahead.
Well, you know, I think it's a great thing. You know, the idea that we're talking about infusing some economic activity to a place like Baltimore, you know, a place that has gone through, you know, a lot of, you know, in the area, a lot of blighted communities there within the, you know, Baltimore proper. I think it's a great thing. You know, it's closer for me personally because now
it's all about you.
more than likely, I'm actually going to go now.
Oh, it's all about you, huh?
But you know, hey,
It's always all about you.
I got you. I
but no,
understand.
I honestly will say, you know, I get excited when I think about those sort of possibilities of just, you know, the number of black people that are there, the impact that it can have on the 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 opportunities that are there.
scholarships are really
The scholarships
$2 million bucks. And also,
now.
but also, again, this was an issue that we covered. A lot of those restaurants were adding on mandatory tips, things along those lines. Some
so
places
that's what she's
18,
saying
20,
that they're not gonna
25%.
do.
So for Baltimore to say, no, we're going to guarantee room rates is also critically important. This is from the Charlotte Observer's website. This is the CIAA commissioner talking about this move.
Being in the city of Charlotte has been a tremendous opportunity for us to grow this tournament, but also build the relationships that we have in Charlotte. We're so excited about the opportunities from now until 2020 with the opportunity to continue to talk beyond that. But right now we're just focused on this year and the next year and just really working to make sure that we provide the best experience for our student athletes, our our alumni, and our sponsors.
Okay, but y'all ain't gonna be there for 2020, and so, but I want everybody who's watching to understand when you talk about black dollars, when we talk about black family reunions, conventions, events along those lines, cities should be trying to compete for our dollars and not taking those dollars for granted, which also says to organizers of various events that we don't have to stay in one place, and that if you disrespect black folks, if you don't fully respect our events, yes, then other places will covet those particular events, and that's critically important. Final comment.
Hold on,
Final comment. Hold on. Final comment. Malik, then Julian.
Yeah, just want to make sure that, when we're talking about this is that blacks actually have an opportunity here. So, even though they're coming to Baltimore, they need to make sure that blacks have opportunities.
Black vendors, black restaurants. I got you.
Yeah, so you're talking about black power.
That's
what that is.
$1.3 trillion is what we have. We need to use that $1.3 trillion to move it to basically respect those who respect us and disrespect those who do not respect us. When a black girl is grabbed across a McDonald's counter, that says something to us.
But she got her, though. She got him back, though.
Yeah, she whooped his ass. But I got you. Hold on. I got to talk about this next story. I got to talk about this next story, folks. Two major court decisions out this week. Today, the Supreme Court denied a request from Republicans in Virginia to block a federal court from designing and approving new districts from the state legislature. Gerrymandering, folks. A panel of federal judges has ordered that a new map be drawn because lawmakers had gerrymandered 11 state House districts by packing them with black voters. The new districts are set to be revealed at a lower court hearing later this week in Richmond, Virginia. And this could be very important because Republicans control the state House in Virginia. And also, today, Governor Ralph Northam announced a series of proposals that would implement no excuse absentee voting and repeal the requirement to show a photo ID to vote. These measures are more likely to pass if Democrats control both houses. Now, the other decision from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 3rd District is on a case that goes back to 1982. In that year, a district court ordered that Republican National Committee cannot engage in ballot security measures which were designed to intimidate minority voters from voting. As you can imagine, the Republican National Committee has been trying to get this order overturned, and now they have. And the Republican National Committee will now have free rein to engage in whatever voter suppression tactics, if things existed, that the law will permit. Now, the court order had kept some of this behavior in check. With Donald Trump now in firm control of the RNC, now we have other issues. This is important. Now, I'll start with you. This is important because you look at the issue of Virginia, when you talk about now making it easy for folks to vote. This country talks about democracy. Oh, how we love democracy, but makes it difficult for folks to vote. New York State, folks are targeting New York State, where you would think that it's so-called blue state. They have the worst voting laws in America.
Right.
And so finally, and also we're seeing, of course, the first bill that Congress, Democrats in control of the House, are proposing, deals with the issue of voting as well. This should be a no-brainer for both sides, but one side does not want there to be easier access to the ballot box than the other.
Right, definitely. I mean, and I think, just going off of what the Northam thing too, about the package of legislation that he was able to pass. I mean, just a lot of election experts say that a lot of the stuff that, a lot of these things that would give minorities more rights to vote, like a lot of minorities, especially like black minorities tend to vote Democratic. So it could seem why there are a lot more people who align, a lot more Democrats who align with issues that would propel or get more black people into the ballots, are Native Americans, like especially given this past election cycle and how voting rights was at the center of the discussion, given allegations of voter suppression in Georgia, North Dakota, when it came to Native Americans who were not being able to vote because they weren't either their I think their tribal IDs.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a rush to get them made.
Right.
And Malik, this is where, again, I keep saying to Republicans, if you keep trying to keep folks from voting, you ain't going to get black votes.
Well, I will say one thing. I don't think that this is a Republican thing. I don't think that Republicans, as the party, I don't think that we are into voter suppression.
Yes, they are.
No,
yes, they are.
No,
Doc, you can sit here.
Members of the party are, but I don't think that the party itself.
Hold up. Members of That's the party.
No, that's to say that what happened.
What are you talking about?
With all due respect, and I want to respect you, but with all due respect, let's just deal with this bit.
I'm wearing this shirt for a reason. Let my people vote.
Vote.
That's not a position of the
What the
Republican
hell
Party.
happened in North Carolina where MFs went and took people's ballots?
Yeah, but we're talking about North Carolina.
No,
we
but
continue to talk about
actually, North Carolina, Georgia, North Dakota, Virginia, Maine.
You can't add Georgia to North Carolina because the situations are not the same.
But
the situations are not the same in North Carolina.
But Malik, hold on one second. But Malik, it's real simple. Anytime there's a discussion about expanding access to the ballot and not expanding it, the people who are on the side of expansion of the ballot are Democrats, and the people who are likely on the side of trying to limit access are Republicans.
Right. And how come everybody?
One second. Multiple states. Yeah. So there's a whole idea of like, well, it's not the party.
It's not
individuals.
The party, no.
Okay, it happens to be a lot of individuals who call themselves Republicans in different states all across the country. And then when you add them all together, that's called the Republican Party.
Yeah,
let me ask you this.
Hold on, one second. Finish, make your point.
It's applicable to both parties. I mean, you can actually have. I can cite off things that are. Democrats generally advocate for that Republicans generally don't. So we can go down the list of things.
Wait. What?
Well, let's start with the border. Let's start with
No. Stop. No, Julian, stop.
But you can't.
No, Malik.
So let's talk about border security.
Show me.
Democrats and Republicans are on two different sides of that.
No. We're discussing voting. Yeah. Show me the examples where Republicans are talking about expanding access to the ballot. Take your time.
Well, I'm sure there are some examples.
Well, no, but give me one. No, give me two.
I don't have them.
Okay, give me one.
I don't have them off the top.
You don't have one?
I don't have them.
Bro, you don't have one?
It's an entire country. No, I don't have
out of all 50 states, you can't find one.
I was not prepared to talk about a case where Republicans.
That means there are none.
So Roland, here's the deal.
30 seconds, go.
These people would like to constrict the opportunity for people to vote. That's what it. No, not some people.
Okay.
Your people.
All right. Your people. This is all I'm saying. Okay. So between now and the next time you come on, find me two.
What?
When it comes to voting, where Republicans are working. No. Where Republicans are have ideas to expand access to the ballot. So take your time. It's gonna be a little rough.
It won't take long.
It's gonna take a long time. Again, okay. What does this say? Let my people vote. And speaking of voting, folks, today nearly 1.4 million people in Florida were eligible to register to vote today. I'm going to show you a video of Desmond Meade. Of course, he was a brother who led the effort. It took him a decade to actually to get this ballot initiative passed. For the first time, he was able to register to vote today. It was quite emotional. Here's that video.
Help him out. These glasses, excellent.
Okay. That's more. I can do either one, right?
Today marks historic and will be memorized in Florida history for allowing every citizen to have a vote.
Thank you, Lord. I do. I'm voting again. Yes, you're voting. Register voters. Congratulations. 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 Thank you all.
Can you do me a favor and review that, please?
That's how I feel. Grateful. To people I don't even know.
Desmond Meade said there were scenes like that all across the state. Election officials were getting emotional, shedding tears as they saw folks who were coming in and register to vote. Many of them, there were some folks, of course, who went to jail before they were even eligible to vote. And now, for the first time, they will actually have an opportunity to vote. And so you see, I'm wearing this shirt, Let My People Vote. So Desmond and Sheena made sure I got one of these shirts a few weeks ago, which is why I'm wearing it. And to the panel, look, this is what this thing is about. This is why 65+% of the people went to the polls, because it does not make sense in a country to say that you have, I mean, now in the case of Desmond Meade, not only could he not vote, because he was formerly incarcerated, formerly a felon, he got his law license. He went to law school, graduated, but he could not become a lawyer because in Florida, they didn't allow you to get professional licenses for the same reason. Now, he can become a practicing lawyer. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a huge deal, and I would hope that first of all, legislatures should not be blocking folks across the country from voting. Right. And in many of those cases, Malik, they are Republican legislatures. Mm-hmm. Fact. Mm-hmm. And so this is a perfect example where Republicans, if they want to say we believe in second chances, they should be making sure that people have the right to vote.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about, as far as voter suppression, we've talked about it on this show before. I've expressed my feelings about it. I don't agree with any efforts. You know, some things that some people may feel more strongly about. You know, I don't. You know, so as far as like voter ID laws and things like that, I'm not as just so opposed to voter ID laws. I don't think there's a I don't have the same position as a lot of people as far as voter ID laws, but you know what we're talking about with this guy here. You know, if you've served your time, and I know some states don't allow you to. You know, there's a period of time after you are released that you're able to vote. But I think that once you've served your time, I think that you should be able to vote immediately. I think you should have those rights restored. Mm-hmm. And I think that is definitely something, you know, the Republican Party needs to be responsive to that, because voting is one of the things that we care a lot about.
But the party has been a blocker to people from things, Roland, as minor as you can't get a barber's license.
Right.
In Illinois. They got like 151 things that you can't do.
Right.
Once you've been a felon. So you have you served your time, you done the crime, you served your time, let it go, let it go, let it go. That's all.
But also, Juan, I want you to speak to this. This is also, I want every person who is young, or the people who are out there watching, or who are always talking about this nonsense of, oh man, this stuff doesn't matter. I mean, these were individuals who are shedding tears, who could not vote. And to me, I don't care who you are. I don't want to hear that crap. Anybody says, "Oh no, the best of those two evils" or whatever. No, this shows you the power of what it means and how emotional it is for people to get the right to vote.
Right, definitely. In some states, even this week, Florida actually lifted I think on Tuesday, and enacted a measure to lift the ban on those with felony convictions.
No, but that's right. That was the case here. But you see how emotional they are.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
You see how workers are seeing it, and that to me, I think it says a lot to young voters. Don't just sit the hell at home with your power, and you have the right to vote, but then you're not using it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of effort to. Just having a lot of black family members who also didn't vote in this past midterm election, who also didn't vote in the presidential election. I think sometimes, again, like voter suppression efforts aren't just to block black people from voting in general, but also to make them.
No, they're there to block a lot of people. Because first of all, voter suppression efforts are not just young black folks. They're also targeting young white voters, targeting elderly voters as well,
but just
poor folks,
people,
and so that's what's going on.
People who are not, when they decide that you can't, that you move a voting place 20, 30 miles.
Oh, no, in the case of Wisconsin, where the clerk said she purposely moved the early voting location because there were too many young people who voted Democrat in the previous election. She moved it to a far out place, was hard to get to with a small parking lot. So even if you did go out there, to dissuade you from voting, because if the lines were there, you would get frustrated and leave. We saw that happen in Ohio, other states. And so those are the kind of legal tactics that are used, to me, that are not proper. I got to go to a break right now. We come back, we're going to talk about Jazmine Barnes, 7-year-old shot to death in Houston, laid to rest today. And we'll discuss that when we come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Folks, 7-year-old Jazmine Barnes was laid to rest today in Houston. She was a 70-year-old girl shot in her mom's car as the family was out for a morning coffee run. Now, 2 men are in custody in relation to the shooting. The family opted for an open casket viewing before the funeral, and nearly 1,000 people attended the ceremony. Speakers included Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, Harris County Sheriff Henry Gonzalez, and Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. Jazmine's casket had on its side the words Jazmine Jazzy Faye Barnes, which was her nickname. She was a girl who loved playing, singing louder than the radio, and also giving out hugs. And so, again, 7-year-old laid to rest. There's a photo right there of her casket coming out of the church, and our prayers certainly go out to the family of Jazmine Barnes. Folks, TMZ is reporting that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office in Georgia has now opened an investigation into the abuse claimed by women featured in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary series that aired on Lifetime. At least 2 women have told TMZ that they have been contacted by investigators from the DA's office. And of course, remember, we had the Fulton County DA on the show last week, and so we'll certainly keep you abreast of what happens in that particular case. Also, let's talk about what happened in Charlottesville. One of those white supremacist thugs who beat up African Americans there is headed to prison. That's right. He is being convicted, and this is critically important. Now, remember, Donald Trump talked about good people there. Well, one of those folks, one of these thugs who beat up DeAndre Harris, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. There's a catch. Most of the sentence was suspended. He only had to serve about 3 years and 10 months. Now, if he misbehaves in prison, he'll go the full 20. Daniel Borton of Ohio told the judge before the sentencing that he was sorry and he apologized to Harris. Maybe he should have thought of that while he was beating the hell out of Harris, as you saw in that video right there. Talk about, man, a ridiculous case. But hey, good people on both sides. So one of those folks is also headed to prison. Now let's talk about Birmingham and the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. They are trying their best to stay quiet and ignore their decision to rescind the Fred Shuttlesworth Award that was supposed to go to Birmingham native Angela Davis. Well, that's not going over quite so well. The CEO, as well as the board chair and the board members, none of them still are speaking. They've been called out by lots of folks as a result. We're rescinding that award because various Jewish groups and organizations in Birmingham and beyond protested the award going to Angela Davis because of her support for a boycott of Israel. Now, Angela Davis, she has responded. First of all, she said she was actually stunned by the decision by the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute to rescind the award. She also released this statement. On Saturday, January 5th, I was stunned to learn that the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute Board of Directors had reversed their previous decision to award me the Fred Shuttlesworth Human Rights Award. Although the BCRI refused my request to reveal the substantive reasons for this action, I later learned that my long-term support of justice for Palestine was at issue. This seemed particularly unfortunate given that my own freedom was secured and indeed my life was saved by a vast international movement. And I have devoted much of my own activism to international solidarity and specifically to linking struggles in other parts of the world to U.S. grassroots campaigns against police violence, the prison industrial complex, and racism more broadly. The rescinding of this invitation and the cancellation of the event where I was scheduled to speak was thus not primarily an attack against me, but rather against the very spirit of the indivisibility of justice. I support Palestinian political prisoners, just as I support current political prisoners in the Basque County in Cataluna in India and in other parts of the world. I have indeed expressed opposition to policies and practices of the State of Israel, as I express similar opposition to U.S. support for the Israeli occupation of Palestine and to other discriminatory U.S. policies. Through my experiences at Elizabeth Irwin High School in New York City and at Brandeis University in the late 50s and early 60s, and my subsequent time in graduate school in Frankfurt, Germany, I learned to be as passionate about opposition to anti-Semitism as to racism. It was during this period that I was also introduced to the Palestinian cause. I am proud to have worked closely with Jewish organizations and individuals on issues of concern to all of our communities throughout my life. In many ways, this work has been integral to my growing consciousness regarding the importance of protesting the Israeli occupation of Palestine. The trip to Birmingham, where I was born and raised, to receive the Fred Shuttlesworth Award was certain to be the highlight of my year, especially since I knew Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth personally and attended school with his daughter Patricia, and because my mother, Sally B. Davis, worked tirelessly for the BCRI during its early years. Moreover, my most inspirational Sunday school teacher, Odessa Woolfolk, was a driving force for the Institute's creation. Despite the BCRI's regrettable decision, I look forward to being in Birmingham in February for an alternative event organized by those who believed that the movement for civil rights in this moment must include a robust discussion of all of the injustices that surround us. Angela Y. Davis, January 7th, 2019. The fact that we have reached out to the Civil Rights Institute, they have not responded. They have not responded to the local newspaper.
Yeah.
Roy Johnson is a columnist there. They've not responded. They will not reveal what the vote was, will not reveal who voted. Also, folks, yesterday I showed you their website, which showed that Senator Doug Jones was on his board of directors. I texted him last night, actually during the show. He responded after the show and said that he had resigned from the board of directors when he announced his candidacy for the U.S. Senate in May of 2017. So he's no longer on the board of directors. So he was not a part of that board vote on Friday. But it is still crazy to me for a Civil Rights Institute in Birmingham to make a decision to give her this award.
Because she'd be the perfect recipient.
And then come back and say, well, no, we're going to rescind it.
Right. No, I mean, and the reason that they're rescinding the award, I mean, she's long been an advocate, obviously, for civil rights, not just in the U.S., but also for other communities that she's deemed oppressed across the entire world. She even, in 2015, I think she wrote a book. It was a compilation of essays and speeches, and it was about like the struggles between, the connections of struggles between state violence and just oppression around the world.
Well, so all of this was known before. So that's
right,
what's
so
crazy to
she's
me.
long been an advocate,
Exactly.
yes, for
And,
this.
you know,
so it's really just a backlash, and it's kind
No,
of
hold on, finish it.
It's just, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's kind of corny. Like, I can't think of another way to describe it.
Go ahead.
It's kind of corny.
You know, I, a native San Franciscan, was there when Angela stood with all of her work. She's a lodestar for me. I know her personally, but also I begged Cecil Williams in 1969.
Right.
I begged him to go to visit her in jail, and he didn't let me go. I adore her, and she has been so much to all of us, not only about civil rights, about prisoner issues, about so many things. To do this is a slap in all of our faces as black women, and we black women have been slapped too often in this last year.
Malik?
This is a slap in the face.
Oh.
She deserves this award. Fred Shuttlesworth was a icon.
Right.
It is so amazing that they would do this. Let me stop because
Malik?
Yeah, so this is, and we've talked about it here. We talked about it with the Mark Lamont Hill comments. We talked about it with Kevin Hart. This is the climate that we're in. So what we're talking about here is that some people were offended by things that she said.
But so
And we say some people. First of all, the mayor of Birmingham made it perfectly clear that there were Jewish organizations and individuals, clearly who are funders of the museum.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the museum refuses to say specifically what
The
her.
Jewish
What,
people get to
one
stop
second. The museum specifically refuses to say what she specifically said.
Right.
In her own letter, she said she inquired they wouldn't tell her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do you not tell the very person who you are rescinding? That makes no sense to me. Malik, please finish.
Yeah, so I don't know, what the rationale was, but this is one of those instances where
wait.
But people were offended because we're the climate that we're in now. Who gets to say that? Who gets to claim being offended?
Right,
by
and that's
something?
and that's what is angry. Look, I've talked to a lot of black people in Birmingham.
But here's the deal.
And hold on, 1 second, Julian. There are black people in Birmingham who are angry, who are upset.
The mayor is.
That no, not just the mayor. I'm talking about there are black people who she is from there.
Dr. Davis.
Who has known her. Black people who have supported the museum. Black people who have given to the museum. And then, so not only do you rescind the award, you cancel the event, and then you are hiding your face because you won't even come out and own up to it. And that to me is more offensive. Final comment.
To be in favor of Palestinian human rights is not to be anti-Semitic. That's all I have to say.
But also have the guts to tell her why you were sending the award.
You owe her that.
All right, folks. Time for HBCU Giving Day. Roll it.
Black People's Grace has been with What They Do with Language, novelist and Nobel laureate Toni Morrison.
All right, y'all, Giving Day. Coahoma Community College in Clarksville, Mississippi, established in 1924, becoming the first agricultural high school in Mississippi for African Americans. Under the existing separate but equal doctrine, the junior college curriculum was added in 1949, and the name of the institution was changed to Coahoma Junior College and Agricultural High School. If you want to support, please support coahomacc.edu, coahomacc.edu. All right, folks, when we think of HBCUs, we often think about homecoming of sports, school spirit, things along those lines, but focus should also be on academics. Well, folks at AT&T in their Dreaming Black initiative wanted to focus on HBCUs, and so we decided to visit 4 HBCUs and talk to professors there who are doing some great work. Take a look. Here's Bowie State. How do we get folks to think big, to see that there's huge world out here of possibilities, unlimited possibilities, to actually dream in black? Well, that's what the folks at AT&T are doing with their hashtag HBCU Unlimited initiative, which focuses on black culture and pride. And when it comes to HBCUs, oftentimes we hear about the bands of fraternities and sororities and other aspects of black HBCU life. But we chose to go a different route. We wanted to focus on HBCU professors who are doing innovative work and expanding the horizons of their students.
I teach at Bowie State University Intro to Biology for majors and non-majors, General Genetics for majors, Heredity for majors and non-majors, and freshman and senior seminars. My research is around aging and skeletal muscle. I am by trade a human geneticist, but my research is aging skeletal muscle, and then I mentor students because I want them to be better than I was and to have a role plan and not have to make the same mistakes. So.
All right, so when you say aging, so what is your focus? What are you trying to do with your research?
So as you get older, you lose muscle mass and strength. So I want them to live longer, healthier lives. So I want to increase health span, not just lifespan. So that means, well, actually around the age of 30, aging of your skeletal muscle takes place. But it's not until 50 to 70 that you actually see the results of it. So I want to extend that period so that people aren't actually experiencing sarcopenia, which is the aging of skeletal muscle, till their 70s or 80s, so that they'll have healthier years and not just longer unhealthy years.
So when you say you begin to see it at 50, okay, so I turned 50 2 weeks ago. Okay. So what are you looking for? What are you looking?
Your muscle mass is going to be smaller. So if I looked at your muscles under a microscope, your cells start to shrink.
Okay.
And then they start to get weaker. And that's what you would.
Some folks, they jump on the treadmill, jump on the elliptical, or is it a matter of, no, you should be lifting weights?
So the jury is out on that one, but just keep moving. All of the above, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're willing to do as you get older, I would say do it. You're going to lose the muscle mass. It's a matter of slowing down how much you're going to lose as you get older. So even elite athletes and people who've trained for years still experience sarcopenia, but it's going to be at a lower rate than someone who doesn't do that, who's not an elite athlete.
Okay. Where did you decide to say, this is what I want to do? Like what, I mean, so like you were sitting around as a child going, you know what? That's an old person. And look how, they can barely lift things up. You know what? I'm going to try to figure out how to ensure they have more muscle at 68.
It just happened. So as a child, I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Okay.
But once I got into school and I realized medicine or science, I went the science route. I loved research. And I was applying to grad school because I wanted to grow organs to be able to transplant them into people who needed them. But once I got to Johns Hopkins and I rotated in labs, so I've seen some of the stem cell labs and I wasn't so fond of them. And then I met a skeletal muscle biologist and I liked him as a person and then I liked the research. So at the time we started with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. And it was cool, and then he got offered some money to look at skeletal muscle aging. So I looked at skeletal muscle aging because my project wasn't working. And that's when I fell in love with aging.
And so so for you, I mean, being a black woman, I mean, you're looking at the possibilities. You're dreaming about those possibilities, and so that has to be exciting to sit there and go, "Ooh, that worked. Okay, now we got to figure out, can that work somewhere else, and then break this whole thing apart." So this is sort of like a constant puzzle.
It is. But that's the joy of science. Like, we don't even know everything that we don't know. So there's always going to be something new to discover, something new to investigate. And I think that's why it helps that I came back to HBCU to hopefully train other young black scientists to go out into the field and study new things. And it also because there's not a lot of scientists who study diseases that affect African Americans or even have African Americans as subjects to see things that ails us. So if we can motivate the younger generation, maybe we'll see changes in that.
Is it important for you to get your students to, again, to think beyond even what they know and to understand, is to dream bigger and say, look, this is possible for you to do this, for you to be a scientist, for you to discover new things, for you to discover new treatments, and not just somehow think that it's reserved for somebody who doesn't look like you.
That's exactly why I'm here. So I came back to HBCU so I would be an example for them. I was a first generation college student. I didn't know how to navigate. I didn't know what I didn't know. And in fact, I almost didn't go to school because I couldn't find a cosigner. So it's like to be here and have my story as an example for them, something tangible that they can obtain to be, does drive me. Today's generation aren't necessarily as inquisitive as we were. So they have to even know where to look for it or know that it exists. And I think it starts by professionals and other people going back into those communities, showing that people that there are more than you can do than sports and medicine. So I think it starts with us.
For more information, go to www.att.com/dream-in-black. All right, folks, tomorrow, AT&T's Dream in Black focus is going to be on Morgan State University. Their professor, he says the next Facebook or Twitter founder is going to come from their lab there at Morgan State, so you don't want to miss that, folks. And so, so here's the deal. Our show, we are up, but here's what's going to happen. We're going to stop this live stream, and then I'm going to then stream my interview with Michael Twitty. He's the author of this book, The Cooking Gene, A Journey Through African-American Culinary History in the Old South. Trust me, folks, it is a conversation you do not want to miss. He's the winner of the James Beard Award for Writing and Book of the Year. And it's an amazing conversation. And if you want to know the history of black folks and cooking, this is the conversation. He actually takes it all the way back to the motherland. And many of the things that he talks about, he actually went through it. Even you hear him talking about what it was like to pick cotton for 16 hours in a day. And so a fascinating conversation about black folks and cooking. And as he says, there is no American culinary skill set without black folks. And so we're going to have that conversation up next right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And want to thank my panel as well. Thank you so very much. First timer, see, I didn't haze you too bad.
Okay.
I didn't haze you too bad.
Okay, good. I'll take it.
We could have, but I didn't, Aaron, so we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. And folks, we want you to also support Roland Martin Unfiltered by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. This is critically important because here's the piece. How many other shows out there are you actually going to see a 5-minute story on an HBCU professor? Take your time. You'd probably be able to answer that question when Malik can give me the number of times Republicans would expand the access to the ballot. And so also a 45-minute interview up next with Chef Michael Twitty. This is why we do this, to give our, of course, to speak to our issues and our stories. And so we want you to support this by, of course, by supporting us, joining our Bring the Funk fan club. And so we want you to do that. Again, go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can contribute by going via Cash App, by being PayPal, PayPal or even using Square as well. And so we want you to do so. Every dollar goes to this show. We got some great things coming up for you as well, and some remote broadcasts we'll be doing from across the country. And so again, support us. Also, don't forget, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Also, click live notifications. Same thing on our Facebook page. You got Periscope as well. So we want you to support us in all the ways possible. All right, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be talking about, of course, the lies being told in about 2 hours by Orange One. And so, control room, be sure to have their Trump Lives Matter thing ready. And so we'll have that good to go for all of you. And this week also I'll be talking with the creator of the D-Herbs cleanse. I started yesterday. Lord Jesus, y'all. All just raw vegetables and fruit. Yo, it's killing the brother. But we'll talk about what the cleanse is about and why it matters with Doc AD. So all of that, folks, a jam-packed show for us the rest of the week. Looking forward to it. So this one is over. Don't forget, up next, Chef Michael Tweedy. An amazing conversation you are going to enjoy. Gotta go. Holla! You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.